My little autumn leaves, I would love to ask you a question. How do you use your journal? Welcome to my dreamy little corner of the internet, or welcome back. Thank you so much for being here. It's October, and that means it's time to set up my journal for the new month. I hope you'll bring a tasty snack and some art supplies and plan along with me for October. October is a magical month, and so I wanted to have a magical theme of some kind. And I was inspired by a set of stickers with cute little witches and their potions, and I've been thinking about designing tarot cards a lot lately, so I thought of maybe a tarot theme. And then the stickers also have little black kitties, but I couldn't only include my little black kitty, so I ended up designing a tarot card for my cover page this month that features all of my cats. This in the picture is Patches, who has appeared in some of my videos before. She was a medical foster that came to us last year after we lost our long-beloved cats Tom and Phoebe, and she lost her original owner. She'd been in a couple of different foster homes at that point and was still very sick, and we fell in love with her slightly spicy little self while nursing her back to health. She is doing great now, our little floof who loves to play goalie with springs and deliver toys in exchange for treats. And look at her cute little nubbin tail. And this is Tom, who we also called Buddy, or Buddy Boy, or the boy. He was a great big chunky tomcat who was just full of love and had the biggest purrs and drooled on your face with happiness when he laid down on your chest before bed, and just loved my husband more than anyone has ever loved anything. He also really loved chewing on grass, despite the fact that he had all of his teeth removed. He was the happiest cat that I have ever met. I didn't really need to use a reference for Phoebe, who you can see here, because I've drawn her quite a lot over the years, and honestly, she was just the most perfectly cat-shaped little black cat bean that you could even imagine. We mostly called her Bean, or the Bean. She was teeny tiny, itty bitty, and anxious, but brave. She was kittenish and playful even as she got older and then sick, and she loved to sleep on my hip when I laid on my side, despite the fact that, she would fall off sometimes. She was my little shadow, my tiny sweet girl. Losing both of them last year was one of the hardest things that's ever happened to me, and I still miss them every day. I used some acrylic gouache as a background, which I found really helps with the paper not getting too saturated or bleeding through, since I tend to use a lot of layers in my painting. I think if you used sort of a more normal amount of layers in your paintings, you probably wouldn't need to do this. And I decided to do a little experiment and see if doing some fun colors in the background might make the painting look a little different at the end, and I don't know that it did. You'll have to let me know if you think it did. I originally thought of making a 3 of Cups card for the 3 of them, since that card symbolizes friendship and joy and reunions, and that made more sense than the threes of other suits. But instead of figuring out how to add some cups into the composition, I decided to just call it the Three of Cats. In my mind, Three of Cats symbolizes the love for your animal companions and familiars, whether past or present, and the idea that they are forever entwined in the threads in the tapestry of your life, that even when they pass, the love you have for them lives on, and they watch over you and the new animals you bring in your home as protectors. Tarot cards, of course, have a lot of symbolism in their illustrations, and so, of course, I included some in my Three of Cats card. My husband and I have a long-standing joke that we live on the moon since we got married, so I wanted to make sure our celestial home was represented, as well as having the stars and a cloud to complete the picture. I sometimes call Patches my little cloud since she's so fluffy, so she got a little cloud to sit on. And of course, our kitties who passed get angel wings. And in the frame, I wanted to incorporate some plants that would have significance to the card's meaning. Originally, I thought maybe catnip again, but instead I went with rosemary. That's for remembrance and love and memory, as well as protection and immortality. Originally, I'd wanted to include Angelica as well, which symbolizes protection, inspiration, and connection to angelic and divine forces, but the composition started looking a little bit too busy, so I ended up not using those. Painting in the toe beans was one of my favorite parts of this painting. I made sure that each of them had at least a few toe beans showing just so I could paint them in. And you might notice that this is a little bit less Art Nouveau than a lot of my cover pages have been recently, but there's still a little bit of influence in the graphic outlines and the framing of the page, as well as the lettering. And of course, here's another one of my favorite parts, adding the sparkles. I wanted different sparkly colors for the frame outlines, for the text, and for the wings on our angel beans. And yes, we did call both of them beans collectively, and we also called our girl Phoebe Bean or the Bean, and yeah, it is a little confusing. For the two frame outlines, I did sort of different shades of rose gold, and for the text, I mixed a purple with a very fine shimmer with some of the bigger rose gold shimmer. For the wings, I wanted something sort of opalescent, so I mixed a few of the iridescent multi-chrome glitter paints I have that have a clear base to get that sort of effect. And I also ended up using that on the little stars in the corners, which aren't on the painting yet, but they are coming, I promise. I have been trying so hard to figure out how to capture these glittery, sparkly colors on camera. These watercolors that I use here, and also the sparkly inks that I have that I've swatched in other videos, and I've only really been marginally successful with it. I think part of it is that I don't have the right lighting setup for it, but I have noticed that trying to get a sort of unfocused or blurry effect does show the glitter a lot better, so here's some unfocused blurry glitter for you. The quote I chose this month is from E.M. Forster. It was an October evening. The falling leaves, the mist, the hoot of an owl filled him with pleasing melancholy. I've been thinking a lot about how I use my journal lately, partially because I just started a commonplace book, which I promise I do actually have a video in the works for. It's just been kind of a struggle to get it all together. And I've also finally managed to make morning pages an actual habit that I do every morning, which used to be a huge struggle for me. And I've also been contemplating if I should start a separate art idea journal / sketchbook, since if I write down my art ideas in my journal, sometimes they get sort of lost. But that would mean that I would have 4 journals going at once, which seems like a lot, and that's not even including the handful of sketchbooks that I've been working in. that's why I asked about how you use your journals at the beginning of this video, which I hope you'll share with me in the comments. Do you have more than one journal going at once, or do you keep everything in one journal? This journal is sort of part diary. I do some long form diary writing in here. I do some obviously planner and bullet journal stuff, and sometimes it's part art practice and there's a little bit of spiritual practice in there as well, so it's sort of a catch-all. I have to use a separate notebook for my morning pages because of the sheer volume of writing, and a commonplace book is a new thing for me. So I think maybe using a sketchbook as an art idea journal might be my next addition. What do you think? You can probably tell which of these stickers are the ones that inspired this journal spread. The little purple witches and the black kitties. I still think they're perfect for the magical, mystical month of October. And I did also go through and find some stickers to represent the boy and Patches as well, since the bean is a little overrepresented in sticker form. I found that big wizard boy and a fluffy kitty that looks a little bit like Patches. I didn't want anybody to feel left out. One of my resolutions this year was not to buy any more stickers, or else I would have gone out and found some to represent Buddy Boy and Patches. Thank you so much for being here with me today. I hope that this could be a little moment of inspiration or softness in your day, whether you picked up your own art supplies to create along with me, or if you just needed the background noise. And if you did enjoy this video, I would be thrilled if you left a like or a comment, or especially if you subscribed so that I might see you here again soon. Thank you again so much for being here with me. And as always, have courage, be kind, and always look for the light. Bye! Good job, baby, you got him.